everyone. How's everyone doing today? So much good news. Thank goodness. Actually, some good news. And what a wonderful surprise from MEGHAN. Making an appearance at this wonderful gala on this mint green carpet, looking stunning. Her dress looked lovely against the green. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Couple things to get through today. So please grab your coffee, water, tea. I do apologize. I think I originally scheduled this for about 30 minutes ago, and then I was meant to actually change it. But then I thought I did and I didn't. So I'm so sorry if you were waiting. But I hope, if anything, it just gave some of you more time to see the notification and jump in. So thank you so much for joining. Also, just a reminder that I am now officially posting on Substack, and I posted my first article a day before yesterday. And here it is. Thank you so much, everybody who has given feedback on it so far. It was a very heavy article to write, but I did enjoy the process. This is the article, if you haven't seen it already. When a woman is more dangerous than a predator, Duchess Meghan, Prince Andrew, and the politics of protection. So if that sounds of interest to you, go and read that. I have put the link in the chat, and also you can go to the community tab. All right, let's get straight into it, shall we? I was actually in Baron's chat when this was being discussed. A lovely, lovely surprise from our wonderful Duchess Meghan, looking gorgeous. And she really does stick to her signature. I feel like this has more or less been Meghan's style. Well, I think it has been her absolute signature since entering the royal fold, but you can see parts of the signature even in her pre-royal life. I think in her pre-royal life, there was a lot more color. There was bright red lips. There was more kind of sequins, more shapes. But this is, mature Meghan, who's really understands fully who she is, and that creates her signature. And that is silhouettes that really complement her body shape. These kind of I think like straight with a little bit of a mermaid kind of silhouettes, very well fitted and tailored. Full color blocking, minimalist, natural makeup that really accentuates her natural beauty. That kind of that clean girl aesthetic look. Always keeping the jewelry simple, complementary to what she's wearing. Usually if she's wearing, like in this look, very heavy earrings, you usually won't go for a necklace, or it'll be vice versa. Maybe a heavy necklace with simple earrings. I can see a slight little bit of a pink, like almost like a blush on the lip color, some highlighting on the inner eye that really actually brings out the silver of the dress. And slick back bun, which is also one of her signatures for hair. I also love the addition of the velvet draping, like lower cape we've got going on. I don't know if you call that cape or what would we call that? Like a wraparound? Yeah, it's not really a cape, is it? Like a wraparound. It's very Gatsby. It's giving kind of that Elizabeth Taylor, Zsa Zsa Gabor kind of, that old Hollywood kind of look. So let's get into who, or before we get into who the designer was, also at this event, Emma Grade was there. It was part chaired by Tina Knowles. Emma also looks fabulous. I mean, these are both women in their 40s. Seriously, F society. F society for trying to convince women that they hit the wall, that they should be invisible, that they're not beautiful, literally after the age of 21. Like, excuse me? I mean, I think women are just beautiful beings at any age, but age plus wisdom, sexy as hell. Two gorgeous women aging gracefully. Also, there were many influencers at the event, including Alandria, Jackie Aina also. I was not a Love Island fan. I don't like that show. However, I love Alandria. I love her. And I don't, again, I'm not like a person that follows influencers like obsessively, but I'll tell you why I love Alandria. I love Alandria because the way she has moved as a businesswoman, putting together a team, keeping her private life in check, even though her private life started on a very public show, since coming off the show, the way that she has handled her relationship with the guy that she came off of the show with, I think she's handled it very, very well. Like I don't really know if they're really dating or if there's any real romance between these two people, but I love to see a woman just get her bag, get her money, and not not let the guy that she's with be the reason that she fumbles. You see that so often, and unfortunately, I've seen a pattern of this with Black women in media. And just to see her just be so gorgeous and gracious and sexy and fun, but still so strict with her money and her business. Oh, I love to see it. I love to see it. And I love to see that on a Black woman. She has a fierce management team. I think I heard her say that she met with something like 20 different managers before she signed a deal with the final one. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see, girlies. Bravo, Alandria. And to see, Meghan surrounded, and Jackie Aina's another one who's been very, she's been in the beauty influencer game for a while. We love to see it. I love this picture. Okay, so let's go on to, now that I'm done with my Alandria standing. Let's get on to the designer that Meghan chose. Harbison Studio. And again, this is someone who she worked with in her pre-royal days. So this is a long-standing relationship. So Meghan joined Emma Grade, board member of 15% Pledge, attend the 15% Pledge fundraising gala, an organization funded by Aurora James to advance economic equity for Black-owned businesses. It was a beautiful evening, honoring the legendary Miss Tina Knowles for her lifelong advocacy. Meghan wore a custom piece by Harbison Studio, perfectly reflecting the gala's mission of supporting Black creators. And Emma Grade was Meghan was on her podcast. She is a very successful businesswoman herself. I think she has a net worth of over like 300 million or something like that. Quite remarkable. She had her start in, I think it was concierge, upper class concierge work, and built an empire from there. Great celebrity links, working with the likes of the Kardashians, and bolstering brands. I'm pretty sure at this point Meghan and Emma will do something in the future. I see Meghan and Emma doing something in beauty or fashion. And whatever it is, I'm sure it will be glorious. But it's lovely to see Meghan honoring not just honoring Black talent, but that she has been honoring. This is a relationship that goes back over a decade plus, decade and a half maybe. So nobody can say that Meghan isn't true to this. She has been. And how lovely for him. And the perfect moment to actually do a collaboration like this. That's another thing that I love about Meghan's choices. I'm sure there's many people from her past that she would love to collaborate with, but the timing is always excellent. Okay, let's go to your comments and you can tell me what you thought of the dress in the comments. And so unexpected as well. I love it. I love it when she just pops out like this and we're not even expecting it. Oh, thank you so much, Elaine Parker. Very much appreciated. I hope you're feeling well, Elaine. Let's see. Helen, you said Helen Meghan looks stunning. It reminds me of Hollywood glamour. Yes, very much that Hollywood glamour. Gaki said, I would have loved a small necklace with this to fill the space, but this look is nice still. Yeah. I feel like I actually thought that as well, Gak, when I first saw this look. But I think the lining on the dress, I think that does something to the neckline. And that's probably why they decided to not go with a necklace. I feel like a necklace on if that black lining wasn't on the top of the bust, then maybe I would have said, let's go for a necklace. But there's something about that lining that just adds something to the neck area. Very gorgeous detail. And the way that meets the black, the overshawl that she has. And the fact that they mix the texture of the velvet with the silk. I mean, it's just all glorious. Absolutely glorious. Yeah, F Society. They're both glowing. All of the women. I know most of the women in that room were in their 40s and their 50s, all entrepreneurs, all killing it. And a lot of them didn't even get there until later in life. I think Vera Wang didn't even sell her first dress until she was 41, only to become the biggest name in wedding dresses. So never let society dictate your timelines. In fact, it's often later in life you can restart, reset, and do something remarkable because you have all of life's wisdom. None of that is wasted. It compounds. So never feel behind, folks. You never know. You're sitting if you're sitting there and you're in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s. Now is and you feeling like, oh, there's something in your life that you didn't do or you'd like to do. I mean, do it. You've got all the wisdom to do it now and probably do it better, mind you. Joan Garcia, member for 25 months. Thank you so much. Think trolls, Bush for a family are crying in their bed. Oh my goodness. I'm pretty sure that they are. I mean, they're over there on that island trying to figure out what to do with Andrew. Just moving him from estate to estate. Instead, Meghan and Harry are minding their business, eating chocolate and looking fabulous. Yeah, let the other royals deal with that nonsense. Keep our faves out of it. And I don't think that Harry already talked about Andrew in Spare and made a very good point about the fact that he even mentioned about Andrew being accused, and if Andrew would get security even after that, why wouldn't he? So I feel like Harry's already made his mention of the whole situation. Let the other royals deal with it. Hello, Patricia Nixon. Good morning to you. Angela Thomas, you said Meghan was seated by Emma, chairperson of the gala. So it was planned, not leaked. Well, we don't get any leaks from Montecito, do we? Because people know how to shut their gobs and don't go talking to the tabloid. I mean, Harry and Meghan have been away now for what? It's coming to almost 7 years? How long? No, they left in 2020, so it's about 6. We have gotten very few leaks, and they have been vague. Because people who are already established, they value their privacy and the privacy of others. And it's just interesting to me the way the royal institution would literally put itself above what folks in Hollywood, folks in business, people who are self-made. And yet you look at the difference in how Harry and Meghan work now away from the institution, away from the dysfunction. I'm glad the whole illusion of the royal institution being this well-oiled machine, I'm glad it's fallen apart and people can see it for what it is now. It was never a well-oiled machine. It was just a can being kicked down the road. And now that can is full of holes and rusty. Okay. Let's get on to the next. So lovely evening, lovely initiative, lovely people. I would actually love to see Meghan maybe do a collab with Jackie Aina or Landry. I mean, Landry is the it girl right now. She was even at the Golden Globes. She's probably the most talked about influencer at the moment. For sure, let's do a collab. All right. Next, did I show you this? Yes, I did show you this picture, I think. All right. Before we get on to the other royal news, just wanted to mention that the Super Bowl and the Winter Olympics. I watched the Super Bowl before. Actually, no. Here it is. I watched the Super Bowl performance. I thought it was really good. It was a different style. I feel like there's 2 styles of Super Bowl performances that we've seen over the years. There's one where they really use the floor space to do a very concert-like performance. So that would be, what Rihanna did for hers, what Beyonce did for hers, what Usher did for his. I actually think Usher's was a hybrid of the concert style and the music video style. Bad Bunny's performance, he performed. His was the more music video style. So you basically had a set and the camera moved around the set. So this style of Super Bowl performance is made more for people at home, whereas the concert style is made for people at home and in the arena. So you had the camera moving around this gorgeous set, and it was basically highlighting different parts of um South America, Caribbean culture. Well, I think there were elements that I saw that could also include that. But also Bad Bunny being Puerto Rican, his culture and his heritage. Um And it was very political, but in a very beautiful way. I think a lot of people did expect that. Different odes to South America and the different countries. Also Gaga and gosh, I forget his name, Ricky Martin performing. And there was this one part that I thought was really, really interesting, where they were on these utility poles, and Bad Bunny climbed the poles, and um he climbed on, I think they call them El Abigon. I think that's the Spanish word for the blackout. And it was to highlight the blackouts that happened in Puerto Rico and represent the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. And you had these ridiculous MAGA people talking about, why is Bad Bunny performing when he's not American? Well, Puerto Rico is an American state. So, beautiful visuals and much needed. Some people didn't like the fact that Bad Bunny was performing. I think for them, they felt it was almost like he was because of what I think the Super Bowl represents and football represents in American culture, they were calling him a sellout. But watching this performance, I didn't see that. I saw somebody who's very proud of his culture. I think it was a much needed moment on the backdrop of all of this MAGA nonsense. Speaking of which, over at the Winter Olympics. Now, the Summer Olympics are very, very diverse. Winter Olympics, not so much. Granted, if you think about where very cold sports are done, well, I guess one can understand why certain countries may not be represented as much, but I think that's not an excuse for those countries to not invest in their athletes so that their countries can be represented. And a lot of countries are now seeing the beauty in that. So more countries that typically don't have cold climates are sponsoring and sending athletes. Well, everybody was wondering what kind of reception the United States would get, and it was rather interesting. So what happened was the US team came out and they were shown on the Jumbotron. The crowd cheered at the US team. And then the camera panned to JD Vance and his handmaiden, and then they start booing. So the crowd that was genuinely happy to see Team USA, they were not happy to see JD Vance. They were booing. And I have to also say to all of the American athletes at the Winter Olympics, I think can be very proud of themselves. If I don't know if you haven't seen the clips, let me just say that they have not backed down from talking about what's going on in the US. All of them. So I think to my US citizens, you can be very proud of your athletes over the Winter Olympics right now. I think they are representing the best of what America is and rejecting the worst and speaking very openly about it. I was quite surprised. I haven't heard any of the athletes, and again, this is not the most diverse team, by the way. I haven't heard any of the athletes try to back down or back away from answering difficult questions and saying, certain things that are happening in the US aren't acceptable. JD Vance is there with the whole motorcade, honey. The whole 14 vehicle motorcade. And it's just hilarious because you see him with the motorcade and the beast, and then you see all the other world leaders literally just like walking down the road. In fact, the motorcade for the US delegation was so big, one of the US athletes was almost late. How are you going to make one of your own athletes late? Now, I'm not going to put it on the screen, and I think this has already been discussed. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Trump posting that picture of Obama and Michelle Obama. I think that these people are devastated that they cannot lump Obama in all that Epstein mess. In fact, from what I'm still looking through the information, from what I understand, the only times Obama was actually mentioned in the Epstein files was when all of them elites were talking crap about him. I think it angers them that there really isn't much, or there isn't really anything of substance that they can critique the Obamas on. And yet this is the dirtiest, most corrupt regime that you have seen in the United States in these modern times. It truly angers them. None of them have the class, the grace, the empathy, the leadership skills, or just a bunch of corrupt cronies siphoning the United States of its energy, of its resources, all just making money. It'll be very interesting to see by the end of all this, how much money do you think all of these politicians are making? Anywho, that was that. Just thought I'd cover some other events before we get into our equally corrupt and nasty royals. Shout out to Anne Boleyn. Sorry, not Anne Boleyn. Claudia Boleyn. Who tweeted this brilliant tweet. She does do videos about the royals sometimes. Go check her out on YouTube. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing you Queen Elizabeth II was just like your sweet little grandma. Indeed. The number of people I've met in my lifetime who have said this exact thing. Oh, but the Queen, she just feels like your grandma. The lady who used to live in Buckingham Palace feels like your grandma. Child. Okay, let's read your comments before we get on to the next thing. Amy, I'm so jealous of Meghan's hairline. She's using that. What's it? The highbrow hippie oil and the supplements. Go get you some of that. Helen, there was one troll on Twitter apologizing and saying she's really sorry she jumped on Meghan hate bandwagon and now she can see what the royals are really like. Well, I hope she's incredibly ashamed and she continues to feel ashamed for a very long time. Because what? Did it take Andrew being exposed, being linked to a PDF file? Mind you, the royals been linked to PDF files for them to see that Meghan wasn't the problem. That's what it took. Not the relentless bullying. Not Meghan openly speaking about how she wanted to unalive herself. It took the Andrew and Epstein situation for her to see it. I'm glad she's seen the light, but I still wish her hell. And I wish all the other trolls hell too. Letroy said, I'm still confused as to why Lady Gaga was there. She Latina. I mean, it was an interesting choice to have Gaga there. He could have picked anyone else. There are so many amazing Latina female artists, actually. He could have picked maybe Anita. Who's the other one? Karol G. Yeah, there was a lot of people he could have picked. I don't know. I guess maybe he just wanted maybe he just wanted an American singer who's who's like known to be a headliner. Maybe that's why. And I think he also had There was one point where I could have sworn I saw Jessica Alba. Like he had a whole bunch of people just dancing around. Um, I don't know what Jessica Alba's heritage is, but I could have sworn I saw her in the background somewhere. Mm, Give me one sec, folks. Mm. Ah, she's okay. So Jessica's half Mexican. Ron didn't understand a word he said, but I enjoyed the vibe. Yeah, I didn't. I know his songs, but I don't understand Spanish. So, but it's the vibe, you know. I think Latin music it just has that vibe. Mm. Um. Oh, he said Puerto Rico is not yet an American state. It's a U.S. territory. They are U.S. citizens, just like those in the states. So they're recognized as U.S. citizens. Then I think I think that's what the U.S. I think that's what the MAGA haters don't want to acknowledge. Um, I mean, if it's U.S. territory and they're U.S. citizens, they should be given the protections and the assistance. It kind of seems like after Hurricane Maria, they were left hanging. Listen, JD wants that presidency. He wants that presidency. He has Usher out here um having another kid while he's secretly dreaming of Erica. Erica, who's been acting like a WWE wrestler with all these appearances that she's been doing. He wants Trump gone. He wants Erica Kirk to be his new wife, and then he wants to be president. Absolutely awful human being. Um, um, like she said, the British media has attacked and dragged Meghan for 10 years. If people can't see the smear campaign used against a woman that had no blemishes to her name, yet they use KKK and the cows passed to affix to M. Yeah. That's the other thing about all of this that always seems to amaze me, that you can't there has never been anything that's come about Meghan's past. Nothing. And yet and I think that's the reason why they come up with the most ridiculous things to pin on her. Or they have to just literally make rubbish out of thin air. Or there was no wick in my candle. Or that's the worst you can come up with while entire PDF files were sitting in the palace. Please. Jessica Alba, Pedro Pascal, Cardi, but yeah, I'm sure I saw Cardi as well. Oh, and there was a couple who wanted to invite him to Bad Bunny to their wedding, and then he decided to have their wedding in his performance. Brilliant. Jessica isn't a singer. No, she's not. But they had a section in the performance where there was a whole bunch of people dancing around. Um, like she said, I don't know what JD Vance stands for. He changes his position based off the wind. Maybe if he were president, we might see who he actually is. It is true that JD Vance changes his position like the wind. When he met is it Usher, the wife? When he met the wife, he was going through his spiritual bro dude phase that them ones like him, I'll just say it nicely in that way, them ones like him go through. When he was going through his spiritual bro dude enlightening phase, and he met the wife, um he embraced her culture. I believe the wife is Hindu. Now that he can smell power and he's in alignment with these MAGA thugs, now he stands there with all the audacity in front of a whole crowd saying, well, I hope she changes her religion, while he's hugging Erica Kirk in her leather pants. So it's true. He changes based on where he is in life and how it serves him. And he's definitely hungry and desperate for power. Okay. Yeah, he's a flip flopper. Even I, because I'm not even American and I can see it. Oh, I know these ones. Right, let's just get on to something about the Queen. Now, I do think that the Queen was given too easy of a time when she was still alive regarding this whole Andrew debacle. And I still think, even in death, there needs to be some accountability and we should not let her slide. However, she is dead, and there's only so much you can do to hold a dead person accountable. And so I don't think we should allow the media to use Betty as a shield while the ones who are still alive aren't being, held accountable. But I do think it should be discussed still, the role that she had to play. Um, so with this is from Celebrity. With each document dropped from the Epstein files, I've wondered if we would ever see any kind of smoking gun when it came to Epstein's communications with other British royals beyond Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. While Sarah, Andrew, and Jeffrey's communications are depraved, sickening, and enlightening, by the looks of things, Epstein mostly had a soiled relationship with Andrew and Fergie. While Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were regularly invited to royal homes and royal events, we've seen those pictures of them in Buckingham Palace, sitting on the thrones, in Royal Lodge. It was always at Andrew's invitation and no one else's. No one has ever confirmed if the Queen or Charles ever met Epstein or Maxwell. That's actually a very good point. There are no pictures of Charles or Betty with Epstein. However, that might actually signify that they knew who he was and didn't want to be pictured with him, because he was around enough times. So was Ghislaine. So there are no photos so far, of Epstein with anyone other than Andrew, Fergie, and the daughters. But according to a newly revealed email, Andrew's advisor, David Stern, emailed Epstein in 2011, and Stern openly discussed what Andrew's mum thought about Andrew and Epstein. Queen Elizabeth II gave her son, Andrew, her full support, even after two photographs emerged of him, one with Jeffrey Epstein after his conviction, and the other with his arm around Virginia Giuffre. But it seems the late Queen did consider her son's contact with a convicted paedophile to be unwise. Oh yeah. I mean, unwise indeed. I think I'd use a stronger word than unwise, but anyway. The two photographs had been published in February 2011. The first showed Andrew with Epstein in New York, and the second was of Andrew in London with the young Giuffre, who later went on to accuse the former prince of having you know what with her. A day after the second photograph was published, Andrew emailed Epstein saying, "We are in this together." ITV News has uncovered an email in the latest batch of US government documents from a close advisor to the then Prince Andrew. Can you imagine there's people sitting in newsrooms right now going through all of these emails? And there's 3 million of them. Like it could take months before you get the full scope of this and who was involved. And there's only 3 million, might not even be all of them. Referring to Andrew as PA, Prince Andrew, David Stern wrote to Epstein, he has full support of his mum. Only dealing with you was unwise by using quote marks in his email. It suggests Stern is quoting the view of Andrew's mother, Queen Elizabeth II. The correspondence is from March the 9th, 2011, which is 3 months after Andrew claimed in that disastrous Newsnight interview that he flew to New York and stayed with Epstein to tell him in person that they had to end their friendship. Now, why would you have to fly all the way to New York to tell him that? That's what that's how Andrew tried to get out of questioning about why he was at Epstein's place. Oh, you had to fly all the way? You don't have a mobile phone? Nonsense. He referred to the trip as the honorable thing to do. At the time, has anybody ever flown to another country to tell their friend, I don't want to be friends with you? I once wrote a girl a very lengthy letter who lived in another country. I actually told her in that letter, I don't want to be friends with you. I didn't have to fly all the way to see her. At the time of the email exchange, Andrew was under pressure to resign from his official business ambassador role, as the newspaper had recently printed the photograph of Andrew and Epstein. Stern appears to be updating Epstein on the mood of the palace following the publications. Their theme seems to be now Prince Andrew under scrutiny for dealing with Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan, but the government approves. You know, there was a journalist a couple days ago. I'm actually going to fish the video and maybe play it in the next podcast. He said that there was another scandal brewing and it was completely separate from the Andrew and Epstein thing. There was another scandal brewing with the royal family that could come out that he was barred from talking about in his book, and it was to do with national security. And if you've got Andrew running around foreign countries dealing with goodness knows who in these countries, if you've got Charles running around having cash money bags from these foreign entities, now what are they getting in return? It wouldn't surprise me if there was some kind of serious national security breach involving the royal family. Maybe that's the real reason William is he's gone to Saudi Arabia. He landed a couple of hours ago, by the way. More on that tomorrow. Unfolding story. Until the discovery of this email, we never knew what Queen Elizabeth thought about her son's actions. Whilst the late Queen did authorize Andrew to step down as a working member of the royal family in 2019, shortly after his Newsnight interview, she allowed him to remain the Duke of York and to keep his prince title. It was widely understood that Queen Elizabeth privately funded Andrew's payment to his accuser, the late Virginia Giuffre, reported to be about 12 million. Even when his reputation was in tatters, the late Queen significantly chose Andrew to walk with her when she attended a remembrance service at Westminster Abbey for her husband, Prince Philip, in 2020. She didn't say anything at the time, but it was a clear sign of support from mother to son. Indeed. I mean, who could forget? And I do believe that this is a clear representation of how she felt. I don't think she ever wanted Andrew to face any level of consequence. And that she thought that the situation could be managed and Andrew should be protected. So I mean, tell us something we don't know, but this is the strongest confirmation we've had of it because the Queen never actually spoke on the issue. Not verbally, anyway. She definitely spoke with her actions. A last thing about the Queen and Andrew, something I think about way too much is the fact that she and Andrew were all smiles as they were chauffeured to the church in Scotland just one day after Epstein's mysterious death in 2019. Who could forget? Where's the picture? Oh no, I think it's this one. Oh yeah, at the top there, slightly hidden by the tweet. Does anybody know what they were doing in the picture where they're looking out the window of Buckingham Palace? What are they looking at? Are they scared the peasants are coming down the mall with their tiki torches and protest signs? What were they actually looking? Does anybody know when or where this picture was taken? I just don't know. Well, we know it was taken at Buckingham Palace. When it was taken and what was going on here? Oh, look, the peasants are coming with their tiki torches. Call security, release the hounds. Anyway, I think it's important to remember that Andrew is still very much a blood prince. Now, there has been some talk whether or not he should be removed from the line of succession. And to that, I say, fine. Yeah, do that. Also, arrest him. Until I see arrests, I'm not going to be satisfied. I don't want to hear about the title was removed. I don't want to hear about he was removed from succession. Make the arrest. Put him in a cell until further notice and a court date has been agreed. All right. Next thing. Karma. Karma is coming for Will Lewis and the Washington Post. Now, where is this article? Hmm. Okay, I think I accidentally did I accidentally remove it? I can't see. Okay, I can't find my slide. But let's talk about this. Oh, by the way, this is a beautiful piece of art by We Fail. She does this really striking art. So she she or he, I'm actually not sure if it's a she or he, sorry, did this painting of the Queen about 6 years ago. And they said on Twitter, thank you. This one's around 6 years old, but there's always a new and relevant use for it when the subjects can't stop being evil. It's actually very, very strong. I think it really captures the subject very well. They got the Queen on the throne. She's screaming almost like a ghost. She appears to be wearing, I don't know what that is meant to represent. It looks almost like fish scales or some kind of armor on her dress. She's got all the crown jewels. And there's, I don't know if you can see it, but there's this kind of dark figure in the background. Just leering in the background there. Very, very striking. Wonderful art. I think it really really captures the essence of what we're actually dealing with when we're dealing with these entities, is what I'll call them. Okay, before I get on to Will Lewis, I'll go on to your comments and then we'll talk about this. Will Lewis, who was one of the he's one of the trained Labradors for Rupert Murdoch. Um Like you said, I want to have the investigation into the police officers or royal protection officers to see what they know about the interactions with Epstein's victim in the UK and on the island. Listen, they probably know everything. They probably know everything, but they're hiding the truth. Cookies and Creamy said the Queen is an enabler. She did everything to protect Andrew from this mess. However, she couldn't protect the Sussexes, particularly Meghan, from the onslaught of abuse. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hazelita, you said Lizzie lived in Buckingham Palace where Andrew kept a city apartment. I believe she met Epstein in New Glenn. It wouldn't surprise me if they did meet, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they made sure that they went out of their way to make sure that Epstein never got a picture with her, because I think the intelligence services probably would have had some idea that maybe he, what was going on with him. If there are some rather interesting conspiracies about Epstein and Ghislaine's father that I'm not gonna say on this podcast. You can go down that rabbit hole if you want. But if any of those conspiracies are true, for the protection of the image of the royal institution, they needed to have gotten Andrew away from Epstein a long time ago. And that's what I find so confusing is did the Royal Protective Services, the national security that we have here in the UK, the Foreign Intelligence Agency, did they not know what was going on with Epstein? Like who or what? If the conspiracy theories are true, then I think it shows that the security services are very weak then. Because I'm just finding it so difficult to believe that they wouldn't know what this man's gender was and who he was linked to and why. But like I said, sometimes we have this, I said this in another podcast, sometimes we have an idea of what we think is there and going on, and that's not the case. But maybe they did know, but they were never expecting any of this to come out. And so they thought, oh, he's a prince, let him do what he wants. I don't know. Anyone's guess. Helen, you said what you want is the Met knocking on Prince Andrew's door, questioning him under oath. I mean, I would love that too, but that door is a giant royal estate. And given that Andrew is a hereditary prince, he's still being protected like one. The problem is if they make the mistake of going down that remove Andrew from the line of succession route, they're opening a massive can of worms. And I'll tell you what, nobody wants the royal family to go down that route, remove this one from the line of succession. Nobody wants and abolish the monarchy. Let's have a reform vote like the British tabloids. They will milk the drama, milk the discourse, and if anything, they will add fuel to the fire to make the discourse loud and tumultuous and angry from both sides. Nobody actually wants that more than the British tabloids. Heck, William and Kate aren't giving them anything. That would be the best drama to happen all year. So when you hear them talking about, oh, let's remove Andrew from the line of succession, I don't think they're doing that because they think that it's the right thing to do. They just want the drama. Nobody wants the drama more than the tabloids. ZP DN, you said, now the firm can't be held responsible for the shoddy ethics of individual members, even though the average firm would be held accountable. Indeed. I mean, I just find it astonishing. To the best of my knowledge, and at the end of the day, you never really know people, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't know any PDF files. And then you got this group of people who are meant to be the so-called creme de la creme of society, what we should be looking up to, what we should be apparently taking an example from, the top of the triangle, all the money and the wealth and the privilege, and they're literally surrounded by the filth. How was that? How is that? It's gross. They have too many people who are credibly accused, rumored to be abusers, PDF files, artists, you name it. There's too many of these people surrounding them for it to be an accident or a coincidence. Too many. And going back decades. FYI, before I forget, Pippa Middleton's I think it's the stepfather. Where is it now? Here we go. Her father-in-law, the father-in-law. Now, this is a case that's going back quite some time, but they're still trying to question him. So this has come up again. So this is quite an old case, but sometimes with these old cases, new evidence could come up that may be able to lead to a prosecution. So they want to quiz him again. So we'll see whether or not they can get him in France to question him and what will come of this. If anything will come of this. But again, yet another individual linked to the royal family engaging, allegedly, standing accused, for the lawyers listening, of engaging in such behavior. Truly gross. Helen, they went guns blazing to arrest Peter Mandelson, but didn't with Prince Andrew. Says, oh yeah, because Prince Andrew is still more protected than Peter Mandelson, and also I think with Peter Mandelson, it wasn't particularly difficult to get rid of him. If anything, it makes the current UK government look good that they got rid of him so quickly. They got rid of him, and then Keir Starmer stood there and gave a whole nice little speech about how we care about victims and how we're going to do right by victims. It doesn't really hurt the establishment to get rid of him. If anything, it hurts them more if they keep him. This was an easy play that makes them look good. Andrew's a whole different matter. There was actually an MP, Nadia something. She tweeted abolish the monarchy. Now I'm going to look this up because to my understanding, the MPs pledge an oath of allegiance to the monarch. And I actually thought that it's illegal by law to say anything if you're an MP and you've pledged allegiance to say anything against the monarch. So I wonder if they'll try to sabotage her or do something to her. It's going to be an interesting litmus test. I don't know if I've seen even people like Jeremy Corbyn. I don't know if I've ever seen an MP literally say abolish the monarchy, because I think it's actually meant to be against the law. Be an interesting litmus test to see what happens to her. Patricia, you said Andrew knows too much for Charles to let Andrew go into custody. Indeed. he will start quacking like a duck. If they put Andrew in custody, I'll tell you what will happen. The CCTV cameras will have a glitch. And then before you know it, poor Andrew, stuck with his own thoughts, committed suicide. That's what will happen. You're right. Andrew knows too much. They have to keep coddling him, because I don't think if Andrew has to go down, I think he will take everyone down with him. I don't think he'll go silently unless they make him go silently. They have no code of conduct as front-facing people representing an organization, but call themselves a firm. They are an immoral bunch living on inherited privilege. Indeed. And at what point do we say we've had enough? What are we even getting from this? And apparently now, Will and Kate reportedly went on another vacay. But okay, before I get into that, I sidetracked so much, and I was supposed to be talking about what's happening over at the Washington Post, which is which had Will Lewis at the helm, who was one of the lapdogs for Bezos and Rupert Murdoch. So last week, the Washington Post announced massive and immediate layoffs. It was one of the worst days in print media in a long time, with hundreds of journalists being fired effective immediately. Washington Post sports section and book sessions were decimated, as were part of the Post in international bureaus. The Post literally fired war correspondents who were in active war zones. Jeff Bezos purchased the Washington Post in 2013, and for a decade, he was seemingly an okay steward of one of the most important newspapers in the country. Washington Post ran at a loss, but that loss was a drop in the bucket for Bezos and his enormous wealth. But something shifted in 2023, which is seemingly when Bezos decided that he wanted the Post to appeal to a different, more conservative readership. He brought in one of Rupert Murdoch's henchmen, Will Lewis, as CEO and publisher. Lewis's hire was the beginning of the end, with one catastrophic decision after another. When layoffs happened last week, people went back and forth about which man was more to blame, Lewis or Bezos. Why not both? Bezos clearly made the decision to throw himself face first into mega politics, and Will Lewis was appointed by Bezos to take a sledgehammer to the Post. Lewis also pursued his own right-wing Murdoch adjacent agenda as well. To make matters worse for Lewis, he was in the wind last week when the layoffs were announced. He just disappeared, and he only reappeared publicly in California, where he was attending Super Bowl events. Well, wouldn't you know, Lewis is now out. The media world is saying Bezos fired him. Now, mind you, Lewis was implicated in the whole phone hacking cover-up nonsense, and Bezos decided to hire him. This is karma of the highest order. Before joining the Post, Lewis had held several high-profile jobs in media, including the editor of the Daily Telegraph and the Financial Times, and the publisher of the Rupert Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal. Goodbye, Lewis. Goodbye. And stop hiring these rancid Fleet Street douchebags. To all of you American media, stop hiring these rancid Fleet Street douchebags. They bring nothing but destruction. I mean, imagine firing the whole sports department only to show up at the NFL honors. Oh, well, I mean, I'm sorry for everyone who got fired, but Jeff Bezos decided to bring in Murdoch's lapdogs. And with him, he brought bad karma. We love to see it. More of Murdoch's empire crumbling and falling. Or Murdoch adjacent people crumbling and falling. Now, William and Kate. It is rumored that they went on another vacay. I mean, do they do anything other than vacay these days? So, the Prince and Princess of Wales have actually done something unique to them this year. One or both of them has tried to be seen out and about at least once a week since January 8th. Now, most weeks, that one event or appearance is all they do. But still, I remember a time not too long ago when they would disappear for the entire month of January. I also remember there were so many years when the BAFTAs or St. Patrick's Day with the Irish Guards would be their second or third event of the year. It's wild to really acknowledge how historically lazy they've always been. Well, is anyone holding them accountable? I mean, what's the worst people are going to do? Are they going to run down to Buckingham Palace with tiki torches? No, they're not. So William and Kate can be as lazy as they want. Literally, what is the British public going to do? Andrew was standing there at the Queen's funeral in full uniform and regalia. And you had people who showed up to the Abbey looking at him in awe and wonder. So William and Kate can be as lazy as they want. If Andrew can stand there and no one blink twice, William and Kate could go on all the vacays. Well, I bring up their newfound consistency doing one event midweek every week because I'm trying to work out when they had time to go on an undercover ski holiday in should I even try to say wherever this is? Some place where rich people go that I clearly don't know about because I'm not rich enough. Courchevel. Ski holiday in Courchevel. The Daily Mail's Talk of the Town column dropped this item over the weekend. William and Kate have quietly enjoyed a holiday in the exclusive French alpine ski resort of Courchevel, I can reveal. The royal couple were last month spotted at a high-end mountainside restaurant where even a ham and cheese toastie costs 85 euros, albeit a truffle-infused one. Oh, must be nice. Must be nice to have 85 euro worth of truffle, ham, and cheese toasties. They had a very nice time and were very polite, a member of staff tells me. I mean, I'd be polite too if I got to eat 85 euros worth of ham and cheese toasty infused with truffle. Fellow diners who spotted the future king and queen in their ski gear snapped photographs from afar as the pair headed out after their expensive meal. I couldn't believe I was having lunch in the same restaurant, one person said. So apparently the kids were there as well. This is one of many ski trips that they've apparently taken. I believe this is probably accurate, but I'd love to know when it happened. Maybe right after Christmas, when they disappeared for 2 weeks, making it early January. Or it's possible they organized their midweek events in a particular way so they could leave for Courchevel on, say, a Wednesday and then return to the UK the following Tuesday. You know, I have to give it to William and Kate. I mean, they're not old. I wouldn't consider 40s old, but all them ski holidays, that's a lot of stamina. That's a hell of a lot of stamina, especially for Kate, given her illness recovery. Is it worth traveling to Coachella if you're only staying for about 6 days in between busy work appearances? I also wonder if they were much more secretive about the ski holiday after their April 2025 ski holiday was outed by Paris Match, which published exclusive photos of them. William and Kate ended up suing Paris Match over these photos, citing privacy. Very interesting. Interesting indeed. So how many vacations is that within from the end of 2024 to now? I think we need to go back and do a count. Because I believe it's quite a few. Way too many for my liking, given their lack of work ethic. Way too many. Okay. I'm going to end with your comments and then let's wrap things up. Thank you, everybody, for hopping in. You said Andrew was a grown man. He made his own decisions. Indeed. Terrible decisions they were, to put it lightly. Mushy said, security services are definitely weak. The police department is weak. Most of the securities in England seems weak, period. The royals seem above the law, even the media. I mean, now apparently Labour want to launch this so-called new FBI for the United Kingdom. I mean, we'll see what they uncover. Mushy said, I can't stand Andrew Tate, but that's one thing. He says that there's no real security in England. I mean, does it matter that Andrew Tate said it? I mean, I would say the same thing. I don't know if it matters that Andrew Tate said it. Andrew Tate also said that he's so smart that he doesn't need to read. He also said that. I realized yesterday how much Andrew Tate sounds like Daffy Duck with those ridiculous veneers in his mouth. Well, security service. Do you know why Andrew's saying that? Andrew's saying that because said security services didn't arrest him for abuse when they should have. But that was back in that was some time ago. I would say that perhaps those security services have brushed up at least a little bit. And when they extradite him to the United Kingdom, I am sure that he will have his day in court and be thrown in the slammer. So, weak as they are, I'm sure they'll do a good job with Andrew Tate. Yeah, Wills and Kitty on vacation again. The 15th millionth time. Kamal, I believe that is dispel the divorce rumors. I mean, this is an interesting one. For a while, it looked like even the British tabloids were teasing something, some kind of divorce, some kind of separation. I think that they have likely come to some kind of agreement where they do not divorce, where they live separate lives, and in public come out and put on this ridiculous show. However, with all that said, I will still say that the smart thing for Kate to do would be to leave the sinking ship. Just take the money and leave. Take the money and leave. Save yourself from the sinking ship. Because at this point, what are you even? If you're gonna get money to leave anyway, just take the money and leave. Are you so thirsty for the cameras, for the Jenny Peckham dresses, for the cosplay with the crowns that you would stay on a sinking ship? I mean, they're screaming abolish the monarchy. I honestly would not be surprised, and don't be surprised either, if in the next decade or two, if once Charles is gone, that there is actually serious call for a referendum about the monarchy. I 100% believe at this point that that is a possibility, that you could see that in our lifetime. Now, how that vote is going to go, I actually think it would be a very, very close call. But I think it's going to be possible. Yeah, Charles got heckled again, and he's going to keep being heckled. It's going to be a reign of heckling. A heckled reign. because we are in a different time, hun. Okay. I'm going to leave things there. Thank you so much, folks. Please do remember to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe on your way out. Links in the description box if you would like to donate. Always appreciated. Does make a huge difference in helping to keep the podcast going. Okay. Well, we got some lovely pictures from Meghan. We get to eat for the whole week. So let's enjoy this moment, see what else comes this week. But heck, I'm feeling full and I feel like I'm gonna feel fed for the whole week with them pictures. Gorgeous. Let's get these other folks off the screen and just have one last look at this. I'm also going to try and get Brian back on the show this week. I think that there's definitely a lot to talk about, and I'd love to hear his perspective. Brian from Royal Sussex Podcast, sorry, Sussex Squad Family TV. He actually did a brilliant video, and it was about the article that the Daily Fail wrote about this. I mean, they probably wrote about 10 articles, but one of them had almost 5,000 comments. One of the articles about Meghan in this dress had 5,000 comments. Let that sink in. And with that, I will end the podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.